Hey, how's it going? So it's the Slayer here. So today I'm doing a Whirligig Saw playthrough in Bloodborne, and it's awesome. As you see here, I'm literally destroying this guy. We'll get to this boss fight shortly. So this is one of the most fun playthroughs I've had so far. I saw a couple of really popular content creators do it, and I myself had tried this weapon in New Game Plus in my main account. So here I did a run from scratch, basically starting front up in the base game, and I went all the way up to Orphan of Kos. I left out German because I still need to find a third chord that'll ensure I don't get locked out and progress to NG plus upon beating him. But anyway, I beat Orphan of Kos, and right now you just saw me take out 2 hunters. But yep, this is the drip that I used for the run. So like, yeah, as I was saying, as long as I beat Orphan of Kos, that's like pretty much end game for me, because there isn't anything harder than that. So front up, we did the prep. So here we are facing the Cleric Beast, and I beat this guy without leveling up the base character or the weapon that you start the game with. So at level 10 I pretty much hammered this guy, as you see here. And then, as not shown in this video, I quickly just took out Father Gascoigne in 2 attempts after leveling up a bit, and then went to Cathedral Ward, and from there went to Old Yharnam to beat the Bloodstaff Beast to get access to Chalices, and then I beat Vicar Amelia at around 50-ish level with the +2 weapons. So that took a while, but that was done, and that allowed me to sneak into the DLC to pick up this weapon early. Now, going to the DLC well before you had the level 2 damage, even the non-boss enemies there, and avoid dying from hits was pretty funny. So I did it somehow. I got an idea from Sir Antonius's video that it's even possible to be done. So I managed to sneak in and get this weapon, and then now I'm here. First, after ascending up within Chapel, I just came down to the abandoned workshop, and from there I dropped right down to the bottom where you face the beast possessed soul, and after you beat him you can access a part of Old Yharnam, where here I let this sack guy kill me so that I get early access to Yharguul. And the funny thing is, I didn't quite record much of my time in Yharguul except for the Darkbeast Paarl boss, and which will start shortly. And as we see, even before I level up this Whirligig Saw and my stats, I pretty much destroyed that boss with this weapon. So yeah, that part of the setup of how I snuck into the DLC early to get it, and the initial Vicar Amelia and Gascoigne bosses I haven't shown, but I'll have a separate video of how I traverse around the DLC to show you where all the key weapons in the Hunter's Nightmare are. So that should pretty much cover it. And here we are. So Darkbeast Paarl, and you pretty much slammed him. And that this kind of a boss, this guy and one Reborn, they particularly really go down to this weapon like anything. So irrespective of what your blood level and what your weapon upgrade level is, this one is going to pretty much damage them whenever it connects. So I'm like, if this guy could just stop moving. And I'm like, yeah, so you could just stop moving so that I can finish obliterating him. But yeah, and that's the one, and it takes him down like a crazy, literally snaps like a twig. So yeah, this guy got taken out pretty easily. Oh wow, I took some hits. That was funny. But yeah, Darkbeast Paarl, I don't think anyone would have had an issue with this guy until the late NG plus cycles. So yeah, but here we go. It's pretty much slammed this guy. Yeah, so we pretty much slammed him, and that's spray slaughtered for you. And then I just went back to Old Yharnam because I had those 2 hunters left. The first is this guy with the saw spear. He went down pretty easy. Yep, old man with a saw. I previously beat this guy with a threaded cane in another playthrough, but yeah, that was funny. So then we climb up and go and face Jura. Now I know you can shoot Jura off the ledge from where you are climbing up, but I prefer fighting him because he's good fun, and he's actually got some good moves, and he can armor through some attacks. Like, I'm putting in some good attacks here, albeit I'm not quite leveled up. As you see, that cookie cutter move which often staggers bosses, it didn't stagger him. So this is a pretty good fight. I feel like this guy should have been like a boss fight instead of an NPC. But yeah, it's a pretty good fight, and yeah, I managed to beat him with this weapon. Yeah, I've beaten him before, but this was particularly good fun. And yeah, he's quite fast, but yeah, so this was good fun. And yep, so there you go, Jura the Hunter. And yeah, you're not hunting beasts. Yeah, I know. So that was quite an interesting experience. And there it is, this Gatling gun from which you can oversee Yharnam. And then I've not gone in a particular order. So then when I was in the Forbidden Woods, I backtracked to get the Cainhurst summons and get the back entrance to Iosefka's clinic. And here I triggered a fight with Iosefka. I don't know how you actually do that because I haven't done it in my 2 other playthroughs. But she was actually quite a good fight. You know, like I joked that after Orphan of Kos, she was the toughest fight in this run. Or maybe she just got bad RNG. But she was, again, another NPC that would have done well as a boss. But yeah, she was a good NPC and it was a pretty good fight. But as we progress through this video, we'll see this weapon destroy some really epic bosses like first timing Lady Maria and you know, defeating the Orphan of Kos. So don't be disheartened by this, but I just included this because it is pretty funny that I'm quite impressed that I guess that even at level 70-ish or something, it took me, and without a max weapon, it took me some effort to get Iosefka. But yeah, this was staggering him and staggering her. So yeah, it was a pretty good fight. But yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, there's that Augur of Ebritus, which I don't have, which is really good at staggering. But yeah, that's pretty good. And oh, she can recover as well. So that's a good fight. And yep, and there's that move I hate. I should have it shortly myself, but at the moment I haven't gone to the optional area. So in terms of this playthrough, I've finished off all bosses, I said, in the base game except for German, who I've saved for later, and he's not that tough anyway. And I finished the DLC in full, so I'll conclude this video with my Orphan of Kos fight, which is literally the main, you know, literally the piece de la piece, or the highlight of this video, along with the Lady Maria fight being a close second. And here we are, that's the cookie cutter which smashed him. And I also, some of the optional areas like Cainhurst or like Upper Cathedral Ward, I haven't captured them to maintain the pace of this video and focus on the key bosses. And I've capped this at a certain blood level to ensure that it's at the same kind of blood level that people normally pay in. So, and I don't want to take this to NG Plus like my other accounts yet, so I've saved some of the optional areas and the chalices to come back to later, because I didn't really explore the chalices much in this one until after I finished this video. So I guess that's probably why, but yeah, we'll just get to it. So yep, so here we are facing Shadows of Yharnam, and this was pretty interesting. They look like an innocuous enemy, but if you go after the wrong one, sometimes they can be pretty fast. So I probably second timed it or something, but first time I got a bit overconfident and just got blown out by these guys. But I was a level 70 here with a +7 weapon, so then I guess that I was doing big damage to them. It was just a matter of alignment. So that's pretty good. So because what I've done is I've stuck to blood level 70 to 100 for most fights, including Lady Maria and Evmergo, and I did Ludwig at 93 because I didn't have a max weapon, but you can even do Ludwig at 70 with a +9 weapon. So I pretty much stuck to that blood level, except for Orphan of Kos. I jumped up to blood level 120 to finish him, which is still okay, which is still the PvP cap, so it's still not over leveled as per me. But this weapon is pretty powerful, given that, you know, I'm normally a PC gamer getting used to a PlayStation and controller for a first time, but I was still able to put up a better than average performance, you know, not quite, not necessarily a noob, and you know, while staying within the blood level caps, I managed to use this weapon to more or less finish the game, including Kos. And here I am smashing that NPC before in Bygenworth before the ROM fight. So I'm pretty impressed with this weapon and its impacts. It's pretty good. So, and here we are about to meet Rom. Now it's funny, it turned out that I died because I got overconfident, but I killed Rom at the same time. So here I thought I was going to face him again, but I'll end up seeing Lady Yharnam and the madness animation that comes after you beat him. So I did that, and then I actually went back to my footage to check that, did I actually beat this guy? I'm like, yeah, I did. Yeah, so that was funny. So this was that funny segment wherein, you know, I beat him and died at the same time. I just got a bit impatient, but yeah. So that was kind of funny. So you'll shortly see, yep, prey slaughtered, but at the same time I died as well. So yeah, that was quite funny. Yeah, so you died, yeah. So that was pretty much there. And then I went up, I explored Yharguul and Sealwood Edge, picked up all the collectibles there. And then the one Reborn got crushed with this weapon, man. I'm like, at any blood level you are, at any weapon level this weapon is going to like crush this junk, like one Reborn and all that. So yeah, so what I was saying was that, so I did most of that game at blood level 75 to 100 and just going up to 120 for Orphan of Kos. But blood level 100 is enough for most Chalice dungeons and most bosses, so don't do it unless you save Orphan of Kos till the end. But bear in mind that I didn't really explore the Chalice dungeons much because I wanted to rush through this run. So other streamers who explored the Chalice dungeons to pick up some good gems, they were able to finish off Orphan of Kos at blood level 100 as well. So if you have the time to go through the dungeons and pick up some really good gems for your weapon, you can do this run at level 100, but I did it at the cap anyway. So this is the next fight after Nightmare of Menses. Yeah, this was the Micolash boss, and this weapon destroyed him, though I did get a bit overconfident and go in for a second try. But honestly, I don't like this boss. He feels more like something that should be in Lies of P or a children's game, so it doesn't fit in thematically, because when you go through the Nightmare of Menses after seeing the earlier Nightmare Frontier and you're expecting like a really tough boss, a hunter or a big beast, and then you find this Micolash and this maze jazz, I'm like, what the hell? So that was just the game trying to diversify itself or something. So yeah, so up till now this weapon has proved to be pretty powerful, and it's been quite a interesting journey. I just need to ensure that the L2 triggers a bit more consistently. But yeah, this is a nice moon on the way up to the Murgo fight. So I actually fought Murgo after I did Ludwig and a bit of the DLC, but I showed that first so that then I can show the DLC at one stretch. And this is a weird fight. It wasn't too much of an issue, just managed to get her and whatnot. So yeah, so this was pretty good that way. So got her off pretty quickly, like Murgo and that. She's a bit of weird wet nurse or whatever that is. So yeah, Murgo wasn't much of an issue, but yeah, just a weird boss. Another boss I feel doesn't fit into the game. But yeah, this weapon was good as long as you got behind her, which is for most of the weapons you need to use against her. So yep, so that was Murgo's Wet Nurse, and now here we are at the DLC. So I show you the build I used for Ludwig. As I said, I was a level 93 with the +7 Whirligig Saw, because you normally need around level 70 with a +9 weapon. But Ludwig is normally a manageable fight, and once you get him to phase 2, you're going to win, because his phase 2 is very easy to circle around him. But this time phase 2 actually took me some time, because with bad RNG he kept on distancing me or something, or some case the fight gets slowed down a bit. So I actually got distance, and it took me a while to kill him off in phase 2, because he was literally like just distancing you away. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, phase 1 was okay, and yeah, phase 2, but I honestly don't like the arena of this fight. But anyway, this weapon is pretty good on him, and some people say that with the L2 and the fire, it can cut him up pretty quickly, though I probably didn't do too many L2s in this, because for some reason on my old PS4 Pro and the new old PS4 Slim and the new PS5 Pro that I transitioned to during this playthrough, the L2 wasn't triggering very consistently. I don't know if it is operator error on my side or just a random glitch or not. So I did use the L2 as we saw on against Orphan of Kos, but I didn't use it as consistently as I wanted. But here we are, we smashed off Ludwig, so that was good. Yeah, Ludwig, whatever. And then of course Living Disasters. This again is a fight which feels that it would have been better suited in some other game. Yeah, maybe a children's game or something. But yeah, so there we are, and here we come to the first major showpiece of the night, the Lady Maria fight. And I first timed it, although I had a bad start. I haven't shown the bad start here. I've gone from when I've started hitting her. But yeah, this was a pretty good weapon, because I've previously beaten Lady Maria twice with the Blade of Mercy, which is pretty fast, like the Fox from Elden Ring, or like a modified version of the Twin Blades from DS3. So I can just circle strafer and hit her with that, no parries or no need to. Oh wow, that was the cookie cutter. See, some bosses like her, they can armor out of it after a while, but that L2 is good fun. So yeah, so what I was saying was that that I've that these kind of this boss, I've previously beaten her with the Blade of Mercy, which goes by reasonably quick. So every time I face her, I feel like I haven't really fully mastered her moveset yet. So given that, it was pretty OP of this weapon to help me literally first time her, which I did, and it took her down like quite easy and did some good damage to her. So I'm quite impressed with how this weapon worked against her, that I first timed her despite being the first time that I used a slow weapon against her. So that was pretty interesting, and here she is doing all dodgy, and I actually ran out of health vials, but then I relied on RNG and my understanding of her moveset, and yep, got her. That was good fun. So yeah, so we got her, and that's good fun. Prey slaughtered. And now, before we go to that or final boss, we got to do Laurence the First idiot. Yeah, this was again an interesting fight. This weapon is pretty good on him, but it took me a while to master the technique for this boss because I haven't really paid much attention to him earlier. So initially I struggled, but then I went to my main account in NG+1 and tried this weapon there on him there. And after I figured it out and won there, then I came back and did this for this playthrough. It was much easier to play this guy in the base new game. But yeah, so yeah, I'm like, stop with that, all of those explosions, bro. They're pretty irritating. So yeah, I think the key trick with this guy is that, yeah, phase 1, you just got to get inside that arm slam and to get behind him. And in phase 2, you got to avoid his multi-hit slam and mostly try hitting him from the side. So that's the strategy there, and yep, so that's pretty interesting. And yep, I thought I heard an alarm. No, that's hopefully not from my building, but yeah. So yep, so that's the one, and you got to avoid his grab in the first phase as well. And once he gets into the second phase, that's where he's a bit more tricky, particularly with that fire and move and that rolling around the ground and stuff. But yeah, it was quite a weird fight. But I managed to eventually nail it, I'm glad, because some people find this guy tougher than Orphan of Kos. I said I don't think so, but yeah. But anyway, this weapon really took him down, so that was good fun. So I didn't know initially he was resistant to fire. He takes bolt damage, so I just had it buffed with bolt damage, and that was pretty good. Yep, should be getting over shortly. I'm like, how long does this damn fight go on? Yeah, it goes on for a really long time, but yeah, but then you eventually get this guy, which is good. And oh, he did manage to grab me once, but I'm like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. But anyway, there's a limit to which I can avoid these grabs, and I really hit these beast fights and stuff. So yeah, that was funny. And yep, so this is where he gets on the ground, and that's where he's tricky. So you got to avoid his multi-hit slam once he's on the ground. You got to avoid the lava and his slam, and by basically, circle strafing him until you can hit him on the sides, because there's no point hitting him from the front. In this phase, when he goes down, he's going to armor through most of your attacks in this phase. So you can't hit him from front in this phase. You just got to circle strafe and try your luck until you, basically get to the side of him and then attack him from there. So that's the strat for this one. And then yeah, so yep, should be finishing him shortly. And before we move on to the main piece of the night, yeah, one which I'm really looking forward to. And yep, so that is Laurence the First idiot. I'm like, oh, stop throwing stuff, man. I hate the visual palette in this fight as well. But it's got some pretty nice music in the end when you win, and the operatic build-up and the final execution of the music is right out of a cinematic or operatic build-up. So that much I'll give these guys. So that was pretty good, the way they did that. So yeah. And this guy, can he stop slamming his damn hands? I don't know why I didn't edit out the irrelevant portions of this fight like the other ones, and I've included a good part of it. But anyway, enjoy. Yeah, that's quite funny. So this guy keeps on throwing a tantrum like a toddler on a dining table or something. So just got to get him, and we will shortly. Yeah, that was funny alignment, but yeah, that was good. That was pretty good. But yep, now where the hell is he? We have to finish this guy. Finish this damn guy, damn it. Yeah, it took me a while, but yeah. And let's see. Yep, there it is. Done. Great finish. Great, thank God. Finish this guy. And we're shortly going to move on to something very exciting. The Orphan of Kos. That's the main thing that we started this playthrough for, and the main reason I was waiting for this weapon to try on him. So we'd start off with one of my initial attempts where the dodging was good initially. In this one, though, later I got some bad RNG and I just died when I still had just a bit of health left on him. But that's okay. I beat him right now with this weapon. I had another build, so I'll just get to that shortly. But yeah, with this guy, these are like, this is the way I dodge his attacks where possible. And you can basically, the secret trick with him is that you can circle strafe almost every attack. So if you get into the right position, you can even get behind his deadly uppercuts, which are quite difficult to evade when you're out in the field, because he'd throw like that red fireball to try and destabilize you and then follow that up with an attack. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, here I am using the cookie cutter on Orphan of Kos. That's pretty impressive, but that wasn't the attempt in which I won. So I let these guys go, and then this was the attempt in which I won. I did resort to a bit of parrying to get this guy, and I had run out of the bolt paper, so I ended up using fire paper, though I'm not quite sure whether that helped. And yep, so this is the Orphan of Kos. So I managed to parry him, and then yeah, that was good fun. So yep, parrying the Orphan of Kos, yeah, that was good fun. And yep, so this is where it gets a bit tricky, that the second phase, beating him to win the fight, you've got to ensure that you have at least 40 vitality and enough blood vials stored in before you're going to fight him, so that you're not left high and dry during the phase transition. And I also try saving most of my flasks for phase 2, because that's where with his erratic attacks he's a bit more dangerous. So I think if you do it that way, save most of the flasks for phase 2, and just generally be a bit tactful, you should be able to get past any of those difficulties. But yeah, so yep, yeah, so that's pretty interesting. And then yep, yep, and yeah, continued parrying him until I triggered phase 2. And then phase 2 is interesting. So to beat this guy in phase 2, you actually got to control the camera in such a way that he's always in front of you even after his moves, and you step aside for his damaging moves, but not too far that you can't come in for the punish. And this is an initial lightning attack that you need to dodge before it begins. And my camera angle and RNG got a bit messed up in this, so I was like literally all over the place, but I still managed to beat him, so I'm quite impressed with that. So it took some practice and whatnot, even though I knew his moves from before, because this guy again is one whom I'm beaten with the Blades of Mercy, which is faster. So beating him with this guy, with the purely strength build with this weapon, was a fun experience. But yeah, yep, I know you're supposed to bait his attacks or something, but I was getting impatient because I'd I guess lost a few tries to this guy more than the other ones. So it was after 10 or 15 tries on the trot, I'm like, come on. So yeah, yep, just getting her gradually. And then yeah, oh yes, that's I think the time when I'd done a cookie cutter, but yeah, it was much better in the prior attempt. So what happened is, prior to my filming this, as is always the case, when you actually do something good, you hardly record it. There was a pretty good, really tough dungeon that I beat and whatnot, and prior to that I faced Orphan of Kos in a very good attempt where I had got him down to 20% of his health, and I had most of my vials and health left. But just as I was trying to put on the camera, I got hit by one of his explosions and died. So yeah, that was pretty weird, but all right. But yeah, here anyway, we are just about to get Orphan of Kos, which is quite a big deal, that too with this weapon, so quite pumped about it. But yeah, where the hell is he? Oh yep, there he is. Yeah, the Orphan of Kos. Yeah, we'll shortly finish him. And when he does those erratic attacks, it's all about, like, I'm not doing that very well in this attempt, which I've done it in a prior unrecorded one. You basically got to control the camera to ensure that he's always landing in front of you, so and you can either move back for defense or left for defense, and as well, or yeah, you can just wait till he finishes his attack and then finish it off, yeah, and then attack with your combo. So yeah, and his lightning attack is quite punishable, I found that. Yeah, so that's a good way to punish him, and that's quite a good thing. And yep, This was a bit exhausting, but I did manage to beat this guy, so as you'll see here shortly. Oh yeah, I used the pizza cutter on him here. Just shortly used the pizza cutter. So that's a move you can use against him only when he triggers his lightning, because in phase 2 he's got a lightning call. That's when he's most open to attacks. So yeah, that's probably the way to do it. But yeah, whoa, I had to dodge quite a lot. That was funny. Yep, finishing him off, and yeah, I should just finish him off. Yeah, I did parry him in the attempt that I won, because I did originally I almost beat him with bold paper, but then I ran out of that, so I didn't want to go back to the Hunter's Dream, so I just stayed around with fire, not necessary that he has any weakness to it, and just stuck around. And that's my final build, by the way. The 20 stats boost was for Orphan of Kos, otherwise everyone else, as we saw, was for much lesser stats. So that was my stat with this Whirligig Saw weapon. I really enjoyed this run and this weapon, so let me know what you think and what do you want to see next. Cheers.